The year-long barrage of holiday disasters was eclipsed only by our first Thanksgiving. It was November 2008, and by this time, I was thankful that my son Matt was still with us. I had now learned to appreciate every day, no, every moment of every day. With a second experimental bone marrow transplant now a full 6 weeks behind us, Matt was once again obviously better. His color was good. He was acting like he felt better. Against all odds, the powerful drug of hope was once again having its intoxicating way amongst our family. Matt was back on the platform at church yet again. And again, we were getting ready for another holiday season. This one, never one moment taken for granted. To no surprise, Thanksgiving meant another trip to the doctor. My wife and I were full of intoxicating hope on the way to Matt's checkup. It started with another round of testing, more of those three-letter things, CAT and MRI and PET, and the ever-present round of blood work to see the magic numbers. But there was little doubt in the blood work. You could see it in Matt's eyes. He was starting to feel good again. With the morning's testing now behind us, we waited to see Matt's transplant doctor. Finally whisked into the small room, Matt's infectious smile lit up the place. Blood test results in hand, his primary nurse almost bounced into the room that afternoon. "I can't give you the results, Matt. The doctor has to do that, but I think you'll like them." Even if she hadn't said a word, we would have known. Her smile mimicked Matt's. Matt's doctor entered the room, a great deal more joyful than normal. The blood tests were back, and indeed they were off the chart. Matt's blood counts were higher than they had been at any time in the year. With less than a guarded enthusiasm, the doctor announced that the experimental transplant, once a source of despair, had apparently worked beyond anyone's dreams. A few minutes of Matt and his doctor talking about going on the road with Matt as the object lesson and the doctor as the speaker were followed by some high fives. Doctor and nurse then left, closing the door behind them. Now all we had to do was wait on the three-letter test results, and then we could zip back to Greenville and get on with the business of planning the Thanksgiving celebration that was now certain to be the greatest. This time the wait didn't seem all that long. We talked, we laughed, and we smiled. Then there was a lull in our conversation. It was suddenly quiet in our room when we heard a rather loud, uncharacteristic expletive that came from the hallway of the otherwise very professional office. Worse yet, we recognized the voice. It was Matt's doctor. I feel quite certain that the dark dagger of fear that I physically felt in my chest was also assaulting those around me. The door opened again, this time much more slowly. Doctor and nurse once again came in, also more slowly. I don't think I'll finish the story. It still hurts me too bad to recount it, and I think you get the idea anyway. I did realize that day that apparently Matt's doctor and nurse had made a critical mistake on their end of the practitioner-patient relationship. I know that at some point in the journey, they had begun to truly care about Matt. For this gift, that I realize cost them dearly, I will be forever grateful. As you might have guessed, Thanksgiving Day was very quiet. You might say that we kind of just went through the motions that day. I was, however, then even more grateful to have that Thanksgiving with Matt than I ever had been the day before. Now I knew my initial impression formed the preceding Christmas was indeed correct. Matt would most likely not be there next Thanksgiving. Those are words that I wrote in my book called Tears in a Bottle, Lessons from a Broken Heart. From the journey of us losing our son Matt to cancer, several years ago now, came a book. And from that book came a song. And with this comes a prayer for your Thanksgiving, that you choose to take no moment for granted. Here's the song I wrote about the journey. It's simply called The Greater Journey.
I started out on life's great journey. The sun was warm, the air was clear. If this journey held some darkness, it could never touch me here. I made some friends, I shared some tears. Then moving on, the journey called me. Soon the days turned into years. Then came the time along the highway. I never will forget that day when my life crumbled all around me. I just knew I had lost my way. But then I heard a sweet voice calling, look around, my child, you're not far from home. I'm big enough for all your questions, and you've never walked alone. Then once again, the mighty winds began to blow, and lightning, it danced across the sky. Winds howled about, and the rains came pouring down, and I would never know the why. Then I learned the greater journey is trusting God despite the pain. For I know there is a reason, though it's lost in the driving rain. Soon this journey will be over, when my life on earth is past. Loved ones wait across the river. The greater journey